Wow, welcome back to another episode of the Devoted Creators Podcast. I have with me a very special person, of course. I hope you guys have been well since the last episode. I'm just going to jump straight into it for the purposes of our audience. Could you tell them who you are and what you do?
My name's Oritsé Williams, a singer-songwriter, Commonwealth ambassador for young carers, and yeah, just all-round funny guy.
True, very true, very true. And I guess, your story goes back quite a while. Where did it all start?
Wow, where did it start? Well, I grew up in a half Jamaican, half Trinidadian household, but with very African, conscientious, that word?
Yeah.
Family.
Yeah.
So very much, as kid, understanding, our roots, where we came from, our heritage, our African heritage, and traveling to Nigeria, traveling to Africa, between the Africa and the Caribbean growing up. And I grew up around here as well, West London.
Yeah.
So as you know,
the best.
The best, West is best. So, being a kid from Shepherd Bush, with all of this culture, it was, it was strange because like my household, it felt so, listen, every single day I was eating like rice and peas and hard food and, curries and this and that, whatever else. And then outside of my home, obviously, it was the UK, it was England.
Of course.
I lived in the Caribbean when I was a kid for a little while, and then came back to the UK. And at 12 years old, my mother was diagnosed with a condition called multiple sclerosis. I became a young carer. Myself, my younger brother, and my younger sister, we all had to start taking up adult responsibilities from a very young age. And I was the eldest child. So I had to pretty much lead the way, and I just wanted to make it easier for mum as much as I possibly could, and my younger siblings. And then at around 13, 14 years old, myself and my younger brother, we came up with this idea, this plan, that I'd become a musician, and he'd become a medical scientist, and would raise money to make a cure for our mum.
Incredible.
That was the idea.
The dreams of children, boy.
Listen, man.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and
beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. But when you get to adulthood, you realize that it really is, is a dream of a child. Do you know what I mean? And it's not as easy as you kind of imagine it to be.
Of course, yeah.
And yeah, so I kind of, this is kind of like, I'm giving you like a quick rundown.
Of course.
And then at 16 years old, I go to Nigeria. I lived there for a number of years. And then I come back to the UK, and I just feel all kinds of different, if you see what I'm saying. Then off to uni. Whilst I'm at uni, I'm working on music, obviously put together the band, JLS, and that obviously came out of, that fight to want to become a musician in order to make changes with helping my mum and fulfilling the promise that me and my brother had with each other. And then I guess the rest is history, as they say. But obviously there's a whole background.
Yeah, man, I'm going to get into it.
Behind all of that as well.
So I think one thing that strikes me quite early on, and I experienced a very similar thing, traveling a lot as a young age. How did traveling so much from a very young age, how did that impact you?
Traveling, I always say, if you have the ability to travel and you're in the position where you can travel, it is the single most greatest character building experience. Honestly, traveling, seeing how other people live, being able to open your mind and open your experiences up to the planet in a way where you're not only just thinking about yourself and your immediate environment. And of course, not everybody has the capabilities of being able to travel, so we understand that. But when you do have the capabilities, it is such an incredible blessing. And You learn so much from it, life skills. You learn to interact with different people from different cultures, embrace culture, and just completely widen your spectrum of that this planet is so much bigger than our postcodes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that was one of the things for me, because like I said, I traveled quite a lot when I was young, and it was seeing the similarities between different cultures. Like you said, you're from a Caribbean like heritage, but also have a lot of African roots as well. And even seeing the similarities between West Africa and the Caribbean is wild. Like when I went to Jamaica, I was like, I could be in Ghana.
Yeah.
They're so similar.
So I heard a lot about that. So
it's wild.
It's crazy. So obviously, I mainly, my travel experience was with Nigeria in Africa, but everybody used to tell me that Ghana is like the Caribbean.
So it's weird.
Everybody said that Ghana is more like the Caribbean than Nigeria is like Ghana.
Yeah, definitely.
So I couldn't believe it. I still am yet to be blessed to go.
Well, when you're ready, let me know.
Listen.
My home is there.
Yeah.
And the other thing I wanted to ask as well is, why music? Obviously, from a very young age, you wanted to do something to change your circumstances, but why did you pick music as the vehicle?
Wow, it's crazy. So I was very into, I was into a few things. I was into sports, and I was kind of into cadets as well, and all this kind of stuff.
And you could dance.
And I mean, I don't know if I could dance. I was trying to dance. But music, it was, so at home, when we were doing our like chores at home and just passing the time, myself and my siblings, we would end up like singing around the house. So we kind of had like a bit of a family band going on.
Nice.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Jackson 5 style.
Jackson 5 style. So, you know, we're singing around the house whilst we're doing our chores, like harmonizing with each other, not even realizing what we're doing. But it was just something that we did at home. And if for some reason, instinctively, music felt like the root. And I don't know why. I really don't know why.
It just called to you.
Yeah, it was just one of those things where it was instinctive, I would say, or just kind of really organic.
Yeah. And who were you listening to back then?
Oh, man. So back then, myself and my immediate younger brother, we used to think we were Casey and JoJo.
Okay.
Yeah,
nice.
so we used to sing All My Life, do you know what I'm saying? I mean, it was a lot of R&B, a lot of neo soul. So I was obsessed with neo soul. So you're going
Music Soul Child.
Music Soul Child. Oh, Dwele, Bilal.
Okay.
You know, even like with the rappers like Mos Def, Common.
Of course.
Lupe. Lupe, exactly. One of the newer guys. Erykah Badu.
Yeah.
Lauryn Hill.
Of course.
D'Angelo.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? So, you know, I was really locked into that
R&B soul,
hip hop,
that world.
Hip hop. Yeah, that kind of energy, like that Jay Dilla energy.
Okay, yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
It's Dilla month at the moment.
Oh, for real?
It's coming up.
So anything that Dilla touched, like I was just all over it.
Fair.
You know what I'm saying? With Questlove, The Roots, all them guys there.
Amazing. And so how did that influence your musical journey then? Your path into becoming an artist?
So originally I was working on a lot of solo music. I saw myself as a solo performer. And so I was out there just, I was out there just really kind of focused on being like a neo soul R&B artist. That was really my vibe. I used to come down here to Ladbroke Grove. There was like the Iron Bar and Mau Mau's, Portobello Road. And I was too young to be in those places, but I just wanted to jump on the mic and prove myself. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And so I was very much around all this very kind of adult, mature, soulful R&B vocalists and talent. And all my friends were musicians. They played instruments. I was around a lot of the musicians that were playing for Amy Winehouse at the time. Yeah, so I was very much in that kind of soulful scene. And then I was working with people like Eska, the Queen, the absolute legend. And I was going to all of these classes, and one of the classes was where I met you. Yeah. So which was in Holland Park. Yeah. And that was crazy. And that was just me trying to, find somewhere to, I guess, like
where you belong.
And develop the talent. And I think that class that we were part of for me was amazing because it opened my eyes up to other musicians. So it was you guys. Obviously, people know you were in a band, right?
Some people
they
do.
don't know.
Some people do.
Oh my goodness! So this guy right here, right? Everyone calls him John, yeah, but I knew him as Taja back in the day.
Bringing me out now.
Yeah, yeah. And these guys were in the sickest band. You guys were the sickest band.
I appreciate that.
Four Corners, and then you became All Four Corners.
Yeah.
And they were the sickest band. And then there was like a gospel version of you guys called Blessed Voices.
Oh, them guys were I looked up to those guys so much.
Well, I know you guys looked up because when I was in the class, like obviously you guys were learning a lot of their vocal harmonies.
Yeah.
So they were like your mentors at
For
the time.
real, yeah.
I'd never seen any boy bands or anything like that before I saw you lot.
Fair.
And that for me was crazy. Like,
You can do it together.
You're being humble right now, but the girls used to go crazy. Like these boys were like literally local, like superheroes.
Stop.
Nah, you guys weren't, man. It was so sick. Like, you know, and I'd never seen Pandemonium before until I seen you lot.
Mad.
So it was it was so crazy, man. It was so crazy, and I didn't honestly. It was weird because it was very inspirational seeing you guys and Blessed Voices and the way you would put vocal harmonies together, because I hadn't experienced that before.
Fair.
Do you know what I mean? I'd never experienced that before, and it was exciting. Like, you know, whenever there was like showcases and stuff like that, I'd be sitting in the audience, you know, like with other talent, and you know, you guys were so popular. It was incredible. Like, it was super incredible. And man, honestly, the moves were crazy,
that was
bro.
what Meshach.
No, bro.
Meshach and Adam could dance.
No, you can move too.
I don't know.
No, you can move, bro. You can move too. Because people were like, okay, this guy is like solid. He looks literally like an American football player, but yet he's so slick with it.
Oh,
like, bro, it was sick,
I
bro.
appreciate it, man.
It was sick,
Thank
man.
you.
So yeah. So for me, it was like soaking up a lot of, you know, that music. And then what really kind of, I guess, changed the game for me was when I went to Nigeria.
Okay. What was the moment that really, or what about that whole trip really changed things for you?
Well, I mean, Nigeria was the most character building experience of my life. So much. I have never ever experienced so much talent in all forms, but especially musical talent, organic talent, like when raw talent, like when I went to Nigeria. When I mean, everybody is talented.
And this was pre-Afrobeats blow up. None of that had happened yet.
Bro, this was...
It was happening there. It hadn't happened.
It hadn't happened. So this was pre-Afrobeats, pre-Nigeria and West Africa musically being put on the map. I was calling on my MTN card. Yeah.
MTN.
Yeah, you literally. I was calling my UK peeps and going, yo, you don't understand. I am experiencing the best musical talent that I've ever seen. I mean, out there, like, the students would be like tapping their chest and making drum patterns out of their bodies.
Yeah.
And they could, honestly, we would be in school lunch, and I'm telling you, they would make, right, this sound that sound like this percussion orchestra.
Like Timbaland on
Bro,
steroids.
Literally, there'll be 20 kids. These kids are like from 11 years old to 16 years old.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and one will start doing a drum pattern just with their, on the table, then the next one, then the next one. Next minute, you're hearing this, like, this incredible,
Amazing.
percussive, you know, symphony,
Yeah.
swarm of sound. Incredible. So for me, it was so inspiring being there. And then seeing singers, more singers, just singing together. And this collection of voices coming together and these harmonic arrangements. And, you know, there was bands out there that reminded me a lot of you guys as well, and Blessed Voices. But it was like Afro. It was African.
Interesting.
And it just had a different kind of flavor that was just, it was unreal. Like, you couldn't copy that. It was purely organic. And it was as an English kid, you know, going to Africa and having all these experiences, honestly, those experiences changed my life on so many levels. And all I thought to myself was, wow, there's so much talent here, and it's not getting the spotlight it deserves. Like, there are so many incredible people here, and they're not getting the platforms.
And they'll never be famous.
They'll never be famous. So I say that. And then I became head boy of my school in Nigeria. And, you have proteges in the school. And one of my youngers, who was like my school son, and that's what you call everyone's kind of allocated. So you've got a school mother, school father, school daughter, school son. And my school son was a guy called David Adeleke, who everybody knows, the world knows as Davido.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? So obviously he was always one of those talented kids, insanely talented kids. And man, I'm telling you now, like, he is representative of...
He's on the map.
Yeah, he's on the map, but he's representative of so much talent that exists in Nigeria and in West Africa.
Yeah.
But in fact, all over Africa, because when I was in my boarding house in school, they have a channel called Channel O and DSTV.
Okay. Like we had Channel U.
Like we had Channel U and MTV, right? So DSTV and Channel O basically showcases all of the musical talent around Africa. So South Africa, East Africa, West Africa, North Africa.
Yeah.
So I was seeing all this talent on this channel all the time, and I was just glued to the television, thinking to myself, wow, like Africa, the whole world, like Africa is not a joke. And no one's seeing it outside of Africa.
Yeah.
So the fact that Afrobeats has now risen, and I knew it was inevitable.
Yeah.
I knew it was inevitable. When I was in Nigeria, we had artists like Two-Face Ibidia, Star Plus. I mean, Fela Kuti, Femi Kuti, like the list goes on. But to see it now getting the love that it deserves globally, I knew it was going to happen. I knew, but I was telling everybody, and nobody wanted to listen to me.
You were early.
I was early, bro. I was early on it, man. I was early on that.
That's hilarious. So obviously coming back from Nigeria, you decided, so you had decided out there you wanted to make a band, or you were going to come back as a solo artist? Like, when did putting JLS together, when did that idea come to you?
So crazy, yeah. So I had no desire to be in a band originally. Not desire, I just never thought of it.
Yeah. Hadn't occurred to you. Yeah,
like I appreciated the bands I'd seen and the vocal harmony groups I'd seen, and loved what they were doing. But I actually started to write songs in Nigeria for a band that I thought to myself, when I get back to UK, I'm going to put together. Okay. But I never saw myself in that band.
Interesting, yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm writing all these songs. I'm writing all these songs in my bedroom in Nigeria, like on guitar, and I've got my pen and my pad. I'm writing all these songs saying I'm gonna manage a band, I'm gonna put together a group, I'm gonna manage the group, and they're gonna become superstars. I never saw myself in that group.
That's crazy.
So crazy, bro. So crazy. I just loved the vocal harmony group thing, and it was gonna be, a male vocal harmony group, and that's what I was gonna do.
I think I remember you talking about it.
You do, because we talked about it back in the day.
I think we were on a bus going past Westfield before it was even built.
Yeah.
We were going past Shepherd's Bush Roundabout, and you were talking about it on the bus, like putting a group together.
Yeah.
But I don't remember where the conversation went, but I remember you mentioning it back then.
But when I was putting the group together back then, I don't know if it was, I was considering myself being in it at that time or not, but I don't think
you
I
asking me if I'd be interested.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Or Bradley as well.
Yeah.
That was ages ago.
Yeah, it was ages ago. Yeah, crazy.
That's got to be that might be like 20 years ago.
It would have been.
I think so.
That would have been right. And the reason why that would have been right was because 20 years ago, I would have just come back from Nigeria, or was just going to Nigeria. So it would have been right.
Yeah.
That would have been around the time. That's perfect time.
Yeah.
Of, if you look at the timeline. But yeah, like obviously you guys were the only band that I knew. So, and I knew that you guys were disbanding as well.
Yeah.
And it was just like, wow, like I was just, it's crazy. But anyway, I came back to the UK. I had the idea to put this band together. I didn't see myself in it. I was just trying to put something together. But what happened was, as I was working on my solo music, I was scouted for a band.
Interesting.
So someone had seen me. In fact, I wasn't even scouted. Let's say I was scouted the first time, and the second time I wasn't. So the first time I was training with a guy called Noel McCoy.
Okay.
Who's no longer with us. God bless Noel's soul. He's, for me, like one of the greatest UK soulful male singers ever. Like, he was in a band with Omar and Don E and these guys.
Don E.
Yeah. So Noel was my mentor. So Noel used to train me in like soul, funk, R&B. And then after training me for a while, he said to me, "There's a band that's being put together by Sony, and I want you to go and audition." I said, "No, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, you like I'm you're training me to be a singer. Like, I'm in the jazz scene with him and everything else." And I'm like, "I don't understand." And he goes, "Listen, I want you to go audition for the band, say nothing." I said, "Rah, okay, cool. I'm gonna go listen to my mentor, innit?" So I pull up to this place called the Dance Attic in Fulham, and I meet the guy who's basically in charge of selecting the members. He meets me, asks me to sing. He loves my look, loves my voice, and says, "I want you in the band straight away." I'm like, I don't know about no boy band. Yeah. I'm not sure about that. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, he says, "Well, come to the first rehearsal." I come to the first rehearsal. There's these pretty boys that got R&B voices, whatever else, and I start rehearsing with them. Then, like 2 weeks into it, I'm just not feeling it. And I say, "Do you know what? I need to get up out of this.
It's not for me.
It's not for me." Do you know what I'm saying? It's not for me. But there was a deal on the table with Sony and BMG, and the people that were putting the band together who the label was for the band was Nick Raphael and Joe Charrington. Crazy story, because after I put JLS together, they end up being my A&Rs.
That's funny. But before we move on, because I want to pick up from there, but there's something you said in there when you realised it wasn't for you. Like, how important has that instinct been throughout this journey? Like, knowing when something isn't for you and saying, "Actually, I'm out." Because that's not an easy thing for people to do. No. A lot of people get trapped in stuff, end up blowing up with that band, and then we've seen with certain bands, there's been a lot of animosity between those people because actually they'd never said it wasn't for them. Yeah.
I mean, like, instinct is everything. Gut feeling is everything. And I was so fearless as the young Oritsé was like so fearless. So I believed in my inner that inner like antenna. Like, I believed in it so much. I just responded off of that. As you get older and you go through disappointment and heartbreak and failure, you start to, that's when doubt starts to creep in. And you start to look at the world a little differently. You start to think, this could happen or this could not happen. Whereas the young Oritsé was like, this is just happening. Yeah. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, do you know what I mean?
In some ways it's ignorance, because you don't know what can go wrong, but you don't
100.
care.
You don't.
It's I guess it's like the boldness of youth or whatever they call it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
So you think that came down to just being young and not knowing any better? You just feel like headstrong?
Well, because of my situation at home, I felt like it just has to work. So that's one.
Failure wasn't an option.
Failure wasn't an option. It was just not. We weren't in the position to fail. I didn't feel like myself and my family were in a position to fail. We had to succeed. Like, this was going to be the only way to be able to support my mum in providing a better environment for her. Like, 100%. Do you know what I mean? And at the same time, I just had that drive anyway. Like, I was beyond my years. I was very, very mature for my age, maybe because of my care and responsibilities and the
From
experience.
12.
Yeah, do you know what I mean?
That would accelerate your maturity.
Yeah,
Sure.
everyone used to be like, Risha, you're so mature, like you're like an old soul. And so my focus and my work ethic was relentless. Like my focus is, once I lock in, honestly, everyone will tell you that I'm fully tunnel vision. And the passion that I have that carries me through that is very, it shines very brightly. It shines very brightly. It's very obvious because I've got so much energy that I just expend when it comes to something that I really truly believe in. And I want to see it all the way through. And until I see it through, I can't stop until I see it through.
You want results.
I want to see the result. I have this vision that I believe so strongly in. I need to see it manifest itself. Otherwise I won't truly feel satisfied.
Yeah.
But I've also had to accept in certain cases that sometimes it is, you've got to know when to walk away from a certain situation.
How do you know?
Oh man.
What are the flags for you? What are the red flags?
I think depending on who you're working with, if they're not showing up the same way that you're showing up, I think very quickly you need to just move on. Whereas before I would allow myself to take on all of the weight and carry everybody else through.
Guilty.
Guilty as charged. Yeah, I would literally, yeah, and that load gets really heavy. You understand what I mean? You start climbing this mountain, you're carrying everybody, you're dragging everybody up, and you're like, I'm doing all this work, and they're gonna succeed at the end of it, of my work, and I'm just knackered. I'm tired.
You can't even enjoy it.
I can't even enjoy it. I'm exhausted, and I've been there too many times.
Fair.
And so I've decided that I need to now just reconfigure, reframe, and say to myself, actually, Oritsé, you're going to be tired at the end of this if you don't do what you need to do for yourself. And it's okay, because I've also got this thing where I just want to help everyone. But you're helping everybody, but a lot of people are self-interested. They're interested in only themselves and what they're getting from a situation.
Yeah.
They're not thinking about you.
Nah, my mum always says you can't pour from an empty cup.
Literally.
And it's that.
And mummy's right. You know what I'm saying? Listen, that's wisdom right there. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's so true. Like, and I've had to learn that the hard way, man. Like, I really learned that the hard way. I've had some really tough lessons of life that has taught me to really protect your energy.
Yeah.
Really protect your energy at all costs. And sometimes it might mean that friendships don't continue that you would have hoped would have continued for a long period of time. Sometimes, you know, there's people that you've known for a very long time, but then they start dragging your heels, or, you know, I don't know, like the energy is not quite right. And sometimes you just have to say, you know, respectfully, yeah.
You go your way?
Yeah, we've had a great time, and we've both kind of enjoyed, or we've all enjoyed some time together, but now it's time that this energy is not matching up right now, and maybe we might reconnect in the future at some point when the time is right, but at this particular time we're not helpful for each other, so we have to just go and do our thing.
It's very mature. That is very mature. So let's get back to when so you auditioned for this band, you realize it's not for you. You said you then found yourself in another situation where you were asked to be in a different band.
Yeah. Again, I was with one of my friends, and we were at a cafe. It was actually Dance Ticket as well. And this woman approached me and said, "You've got a really good look. Would you audition for my band?" And I'm like, this bloody band thing again. Like, honestly, I'm meant to be managing the band, not being in a band. And I said, no, I'm all good. She came back to me again about half an hour later. Would you please, you know, come and audition for the band? So I came up, and I said, all right, cool. Reluctantly, I came up. My friend that was with me, big long dreads, And I'm like, well, I ain't gonna audition unless my friend can audition too. And she's like looking at me like, I only want you, I don't want him.
Yeah.
So, and my friend was like, anyway, I don't want any piece of no band anyway. This is more your thing. Oh, but why are you trying to drag me into this band? So it was all kind of weird, but I sang for her and she was like, I want you in this band. And then I kind of stepped away from it all. And I said to myself, Oritsé, maybe now is the time for you to be in a band. Maybe this band that you were dreaming about and imagining was meant for you to be in it. And so I started to do research and study all the bands from the past all the way to the present. And those bands were Jodeci, Boyz II Men, NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, but all the way early to the Temptations and Four Tops.
Yeah.
And I just studied all the male vocal groups that I could. And then I came up with an idea, a formula of how I perceived the band that I was putting together. I wrote it all down. And then I started my pursuit of going to put together the group.
How did you find your Avengers?
How did I find my Avengers? It was crazy, you know. So, I mean, it was a lot of mutual friends that I had. To bore you with the whole story.
Let's go.
Is crazy, but it was a lot of mutual friends that I had. I had seen Marvin on TV on Top of the Pops in another band, and when I'd seen him come on my TV in my living room, I was like, that guy's got so much swag. Like, he's really dope.
There's something there.
There's something about him. And I just remembered him. And I was trying to find him. But all whilst I was putting up adverts for this band, all around Denmark Street in central London, universities and colleges. And then a friend of mine knew him and said, I could put you in touch. So anyway, he put me in touch with Marv. I got in touch with him, said, I'm putting together this group. He was actually not doing music no more. So he was now kind of in the world of, I think he was in sales, property. He was working in an office job.
Okay.
And he had, I think with the experiences that he had in music, he kind of pretty much drew a line under music and was moving more into the corporate world, which, you know, is completely understandable when, you know, when you realize that music can be so, it can be so unstable. Do you know what I mean? It's an industry that's
you want something steady.
You want something steady. So, and obviously that's where he was thinking, and he was doing very well. And so I met up with him in central London, in Nighttown, and I'm like, I need to get you back into this music thing. Like, I'm putting together this band, and I'd love to hear you sing. And pretty much the audition was walking down the street in central London with these two guys just singing. Like, it was so funny. And everyone was just looking at us like, what are these crazy guys doing? But yeah, that started, so it started there. Then I was looking for someone who had a great voice, but also could do like acrobatics and, you know, break dance or something like that, you know, had more of that kind of showmanship. And when I speak to Marv, he said that he had auditioned with a guy called Aston before. As I was describing it, he said, I think he could be a contender. I said, okay. So I looked him up on MySpace.
MySpace.
Yeah, do you remember back then, MySpace?
The good old days.
Yeah. So I saw his profile, and then I lined his picture up next to mine and Marv's, and I saw that he was doing a bit of breakdancing on his page, and I thought, dope, man, I need to try and see if I can hit this guy up and see where you know, if he'd be interested. So I managed to get in touch with him. I said, would you come down and audition for this group I'm putting together? He was on the football field at the time, and he just said, yeah. We met up at the dance attic. I had snuck into the dance attic, pretended that I was one of the dance tutors and used one of the empty rooms because I had no money at the time, but I wanted to make it seem like it was a professional
thing,
yeah, do you know what I'm saying? So he came in, hit me with these bad boy, you know, big vocals, and you know, did a few tricks in front of me, and I was just like, yeah, dope, it's so sick. I said, would you know, I'd love for you to be in a group. So He agreed, and we were a group for just the three of us for a little while, and then it just felt like it was incomplete, and we needed a fourth member. And at the time, I was at university at London Metropolitan on Holloway Road, next to Arsenal Stadium, and I heard that there was X Factor auditions going on at Arsenal Stadium. So I nipped round the corner during my break time and look down the line to see if I could scout anybody, but there's nobody there. However, there was an artist development company doing the same thing, like some talent scouts, and we got talking, and I said, can I see who you got on your books? And they had this long list, they had all these pictures, and I stopped, and I said, who's that guy? And they said, that guy's JB. I said, okay. I said, does he sing, does he write? He goes, yeah, he sings, he writes. I said, could you put me in touch? Went back to MySpace, hit him up. I put JB's picture next to mine, Aston's and Marvin's. Jay said, yeah, I'll come down and audition for you. I said, dope. Once again, snuck into to dance at one of the empty rooms. Jay came through, and he just hit me with this bad boy falsetto straight away. I asked him to harmonize with me. Everything that I was singing, he harmonized, and we could do so much more with, four-part vocal harmonies than we could with three. And I was just like, yeah, he's perfect. He's great.
What made you stop on his picture?
Well, maybe stop. I actually don't know. It's such a good question. It was an instinct thing. It was just like, because they showed me loads of artists, but that they were developing at the time. But I stopped at his, and I just said, I don't know, there was just something that instantly I gravitated to.
Fair.
And and it was just crazy. So I got all the boys together the following weekend, introduced everybody, introduced Jay to Aston and Marvin, and Marv to Aston and Jay. We started singing, and instantly just knew that, there was something special there. Yeah.
And so how did that turn into JLS?
Wow, long story. Again.
Let's go.
But yeah, we pretty much made a pact that we were going to take this seriously. And for a year we were doing local competitions, writing songs, recording songs, using all the resources that we had, all the people that we knew around us to try and make this dream a reality. And at the time I was even working a internship at Jive Records in Carnaby Street, which was like the only kind of hip hop
Deal Real,
remember? Yeah. So I tried to tell the guys there as well at Deal Real to take a look at the guys, but they were saying to me, one particular guy called Tony Tago said to me, an all-black band will never work in the UK.
Interesting.
I said, you say, okay, say no more.
Challenge accepted.
I said, all right, well, you won't sign my band, but that's cool. I'm in, I'm gonna find a way. And then, we just continued to pursue, did everything we could, and then kind of exhausted every opportunity that we had and didn't really get anything that was meaningful. And then essentially the guy that introduced myself and Marvin, or introduced me to Marvin, he actually applied for the X Factor every year on a solo application. We were getting together one weekend, and it's funny because two of the boys were together, and myself and one of the other members were coming together to meet. And both of us were talking about the X Factor and separate conversations. Yeah. Then when we got together, it was so weird because we were like, boys, there's something that we want to talk to you about. And they were like, the other two were like, there's something that we want to talk to you about, you guys about. And then we all looked at each other.
Are we breaking up?
I said, yeah. And I swear to you, at the same time, we all went, X Factor.
Sick.
And it was like, what? How were you not just having that conversation? We were having that conversation. It just shows you the synergy. We were in each other's pockets so much that the energy, we were just all aligned. The frequency was aligned. And so Neil McLeod, who honestly, I thank him till this day, absolutely incredible, because it's essentially that that what he did changed our lives. And he gave us his solo application that year because we were late for submitting the application. The deadline was already passed. And we basically forged the solo application into a group application.
Sick.
Yeah. We stood in the line and hoped they didn't notice.
Yeah.
They kind of looked at it and looked at us and looked at the application, looked at us, and they're like, go to the audition.
Fair.
So we went to the audition, got into the audition, producer round, and immediately when we sang, they were all talking amongst themselves. And you could see that there was some sort of excitement going on. Then for the main audition, I was actually sick the night before. And I said to the boys that one of you lot are gonna have to sing my part. Because I can't sing like my voice. Of course, I had the flu, it was real bad. And Marvin said to me, no, we need you to sing. Like, we need you to sing, you have to sing tomorrow. Yeah. And I was like, but I don't have any voice, so how can you tell me I need to sing? I can't sing. He's like, we need your voice. I was like, bro, you're gonna have to take my lead. Like, somebody's gonna have to take my lead. Yeah. You asked, or Jay is gonna have to take my lead. I don't mind, like, it's fine. I just want us to get through. That's what I care about. And I don't wanna let us down because my voice is not working. Do you know what I'm saying? And he goes, nah, you'll be cool, man. Like, trust me, like, really relying on me to sing. So I woke up the next day, voice was still a bit mashed up. Got to the audition and it was very, very 50-50. And bro, to be honest, I just prayed. Yeah. In my heart, in my mind, I wasn't sitting there with my hands together, but like my spirit was in prayer. And I didn't show anybody that. I didn't tell nobody that. I've not actually told anybody that ever. But that is where I was. I was just sitting there zen in prayer saying, God, you know how much I need this. And please, I'm praying for you to bless me in this moment for my voice to come out and be able to back my group so that, this moment I'll be able to at least have the opportunity to change my life, their lives, and my family's life. And that was the prayer that I just kind of held inside. And got in there, and they asked our names. Then they asked us to sing. And man, my voice came out. Yes. Listen, let's go. I sang down the place, bro. Incredible. I sang down the place. And then Simon Cowell at the very end said, look, I really like all your voices, but particularly you, and points to me. And I guess because of what I went through over the 24 hours, to know that I hadn't let my group down and my vocal performance had contributed to us going through to the next round, which was critical, I felt, a sigh of relief, but at the same time, just pure gratitude. Pure gratitude, bro. Like, I was just like, wow, like, this is, like, I did it. I freaking did it. And to the point where, and I did it so much so, to the point where Simon showed me love and appreciation for my vocal performance.
And he's not an easy man to please.
Trust me. We've all seen. Yeah. So yeah, man. So that was a blessing. But yeah, that's kind of, and then obviously we went through the X Factor process, X Factor journey, came second. Signed to Nick Raphael and Joe Charrington, who were putting together the band that I stepped away from.
It's a nice full circle moment.
Nice full circle moment. They were the greatest A&Rs that we could ever have had. And yeah, and literally, I mean, before that, at the finals, when we came second, it was tough because they said they were only signing the winner. And the group and the boys at the time they were very upset, you know what I mean?
I was about to ask, what was it like to go that far?
Oh, bro.
To think this is it, like we've done it.
Some of the, the boys were crying, like we had these suits on and we undone our top buttons and whatever else, and and jackets were, came off, and understandably it was very emotional because we had gone so far and just missed the mark by it was so close yet so far, it felt. because they're only guaranteed to sign the winner. So we were just like, wow, what are we going to do now? And so the boys were just, you know, it was very upsetting. Some of the boys were crying. And by this time, because my mum, her condition had dramatically got worse during the time I was on the X Factor. So in the beginning, she was coming to help, you know, supporting me in my auditions on crutches. By the time we came out of the X Factor, she was in a wheelchair. And, you know, she kind of wheeled up to me in a wheelchair and she said to me, Oritsé, so what's next? Whilst everyone else's parents and families were really upset, my mum was like,
what's next?
She just said, what's next? Came up to, and I was like, I looked at her and it just was like light bulb moment. I told the boys, look, guys, suit up, put your jackets on, do up your shirts. We're going into Simon Cowell's dressing room to have a conversation about how, you know, and basically pitch to him why he should sign us too. And the boys like, Oritsé, are you serious? I said, yeah, I'm serious. Suit up, let's roll.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So the boys, you know, got themselves together, wiped away their tears, and I just marched straight for Simon Cowell's dressing room, and I pulled up to the dressing room, knocked on the door. Simon's PA opened up the door, and I said, I would like to have a conversation with Simon, please. And she said, Simon, JLS are here. Came in, sat down. I sat directly opposite him. I'll never forget. And I looked him in the eyes, and I basically made a huge pitch of why I believe he should not only sign the winner, but also sign us. And I said, this is what we could do. These are the songs that we could sing. Could be our first record, all these things.
You had a plan.
Bro, I was on a mission. My mum gave me the energy. Do you know what I'm saying? Once my mother gave me the energy, that's all the energy I needed. Nothing else mattered to me. So after we pulled up and, you know, I kind of looked in the eye and I gave the pitch, that didn't work. Because he was just like nodding, going, yeah, okay, yeah. He didn't sign us.
Fair.
And then Destiny took place and we signed to Nick Raphael and Joe Charrington, and they changed our lives forever.
Incredible.
Because having a great A&R is everything. Like, a great A&R understands they understand how to find a song, what song will fit their artist, and musical direction. They supported us on a musical direction that was going to be commercially viable for our audience, and that our audience were going to connect with. And obviously, you know, with having multiple number ones and doing multiple tours and obviously winning incredible accolades, you know, they really set us in good stead and changed our lives, you know.
What's it like getting your first number one?
Oh man, it was emotional, bro.
How did you find out? What was the moment?
It was a call from our management company, I believe, or the label. And we went to radio, and I remember they said that Beat Again had gone to number one. Now that was crazy for me. By the way, the first person that debuted Beat Again was Trevor Nelson.
Love him.
Trevor Nelson, and this crazy story about Trevor Nelson was when I was working at Jive Records as an intern, I heard that Trevor was coming with MTV. He had a show at the time called The Lick.
Oh yeah, I remember The Lick.
You remember?
Yeah.
To feature the shop on the show. So all of the Deal Real executives know what I'm like. So they were like saying to me, Oritsé, don't you
Stay in
dare.
the back.
Stay in the back. Stay in the back, you know what I mean, where you should be. Like, stay in the back and you don't get anywhere near that camera.
Yeah.
I said, all right, no worries. Bro, when I knew they were coming in for about 2 weeks straight, I was practicing on my guitar a song that I was going to sing because I said to myself, I'm going to get on this TV show.
Yeah.
I came into the shop early that morning. I hid my guitar underneath the table. Then Trevor and the team come in. I'm like, rah, Trevor's here. I just introduced myself to Trevor. I said, Trevor, yeah, I work for Deal Real as an intern, but I'm also an artist, and I'd love to be able to sing on your show. He goes, young man, there's there's a process, there's a schedule. We can't interfere with the schedule, this and that. I didn't know how TV worked. I was just like, I'm going to try and shoot my shot. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Anyway, Trevor says, you know, that can't happen, essentially. But try to speak to my producer if you want. Spoke to the producer, he said it can't happen. I said, all right, cool. I went outside, took my guitar, and I just started singing outside the shop. A whole a whole crowd, a whole audience built around me. Trevor and his team couldn't believe it. He came outside, I'm singing, I'm playing, everyone's going crazy. And he goes, what's your name, young man? I said, Oritsé Williams. He said, Oritsé. He goes, this is exactly what the UK needs. You are exactly what the UK needs. Everyone starts going crazy. The producer says, we need you on the show 100%. We're going to play you. You're going to play out at the end of the show. We're going to fit you in. I said, sick. I'm nervous. I've never been on TV. I've never been in front of camera before. I don't know what's going on. I just put my guitar on. They put the lights on me. The Duro team are looking at me vexed at the side. They're looking at me vexed. This guy, like, why? Typical Oritsé. How's he done this? So anyway, I'm singing. So Trevor, like, he does the kind of finale of the show, and he goes, and to play us out is this incredible young talented singer from the UK, Oritsé Williams. And so, man, I just start playing. I'm hoping my fingers don't slip on the strings. I'm singing away. The Duro team are looking at me vexed, right? And I'm just there smiling, singing. I go to university the next day. Everyone's like, yo, Oritsé, we saw you on MTV. I said, yeah, I know, I was on MTV, right? Yeah. So they were like, yeah, we saw you on Trevor Nelson The Lick.
That's amazing.
Which is crazy. That was the first time I'd ever been on TV. And then once I put the band together and we had our first single, the first person to play our first single and debut was Trevor.
Mad. Could you never circle?
Bro.
What's this?
Well, right now, you and I, it's a full circle moment.
I know.
So yeah, my life is wild, it's crazy, and I experience a lot of full circle moments. But yeah, so yeah, I mean, experiencing, again, going back to what was it like to experience number one, man, I can't explain to you. It was like everything that you had been working for that everybody said would never happen. They said, Oritsé, this band that you put together will never happen. Everything they told me would never happen. Everybody said to me, it'll never work, it'll never happen, I'm wasting my time. That's all I ever heard.
And you came second.
And we came second. Yeah, that's all I ever heard. The only people that believed in me truly with zero doubt and just unshakable, belief in me was my mother, my siblings, my family, my close network, and my real close friends were like, Oritsé, when he puts his mind to something, he's gonna see it through. And obviously the group, they just thought I was this crazy guy. They're like, he ain't got no management, he ain't got no label, but we just believed that this thing that he's saying is gonna work. And bearing in mind, I actually had to speak to all of their families individually and explain to their families what I was trying to do and convince their families that I wasn't wasting their son's time. So they even put me, they even put the heat on me. Do you know what I mean? When I had met some of their parents and their grandparents. And so I felt this extra weight on my shoulders that I've also got to make sure that, I honor my promise to their families that this thing was going to work.
It's almost like 3 proposals.
Yeah, bro, literally.
Can I have your son?
Bro, literally. It's crazy, bro. Literally.
Incredible.
Yeah. So it's crazy, bro. It's crazy.
And what's the tour life like?
I couldn't believe like the pandemonium, and I was living that. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, the only other time I'd seen pandemonium, apart from you guys and Blessed Voices, was Damage.
Oh yeah, for real.
So I don't know if you remember that there was this festival that used to be, I think, Party in the Park or something. Yeah. And so me and my boys, we rolled up to this festival, but we don't have no tickets. So we scaled over the walls, right? And I'm telling you, like, police were on horses on the other side. They were draping some of local guys up, like who didn't have no tickets or whatever else. And we were just, you had to get over the wall, and then you had to,
get into the crowd.
Get into the crowd. So whoever got over the wall, so bare guys were just scaling the walls. I was one of them guys that scaled the walls, and then we just ran, hope that the police didn't, drapes you up. So I'm running now, running, and everything's cool, gets clear ground. Once I touch down to a place that, you know, was chill with some of my boys, this limousine pulls up. This limo pulls up, and next thing I see, like Andre and Jade from Damage, all these guys, all the Damage guys step out of the car, and girls are going crazy, and they're there with shades.
Yeah.
And, you know, coming from West London, Shepherd Bush, and being from the UK, you know, seeing, you know, black guys or seeing yourself in the image of these guys, it was unreal. It was like, these guys are like literally superheroes to me. You know what I mean? Coming out as black guys out of this limousine, the pandemonium going crazy, like real deal superstardom. And I'm just like, wow, like this is just crazy. And I'm just looking at them like how is this, like this is possible? Crazy. So, you know, coming out of going into the first tour was, I got to really experience those things that I'd seen as a younger, but happening to me. Unreal, like unbelievable. Like I couldn't fathom.
Out of body.
Like out of body experience. Like I can't believe it. Like I literally can't believe it. I still can't believe it.
Fair.
I've never been able to get used to it. People screaming my name, and my name's so difficult as it is for a lot of people. Like, do you know what I mean? When I'm going to Africa, when I was in Nigeria, my name was normal.
Yeah.
My name was like an ordinary name.
Yeah.
They just
like
said Oritsé. Yeah, like, literally. Do you know what I mean? David, like whatever. Like they were like Oritsé straight away. But when people are screaming for us individually, but they're saying my name, Oritsé, in England, my name's a tribal name. My name's a real African tribal name. It comes from the Shakiri tribe. Oritsé Jolomi is my first name. I shortened it, you know, because obviously running with Oritsé Jolomi is a bit much. So Oritsé is what it is. But for them to know my name, my real African tribal name, bro, I'm telling you.
For the ancestors.
For the ancestors, bro. Trust me. Unreal. And that's the thing, right? Like, our ancestors fought for us to have just even the basic amenities and freedom and liberty. And imagine my ancestors looking over me, watching over me, and seeing what I've been able to experience and accomplish. You know, I can only but have the utmost amount of gratitude for all of the suffering that my ancestors have been through in order for me to have the opportunity to be able to have the experiences that I've had and have the fight in me that I believe is genetically in me from their fight. But their fight was way beyond my fight.
Of course, yeah.
Their fight was a fight for life, a fight for survival, a fight for their lineage to continue. And so I'm going to do something with that. And with what I've done with that, I hope and I pray that I've made my ancestors proud. And hear us right here in this conversation, we're somebody else's ancestors right now.
Yeah.
And so giving meaning and purpose to our lives is only but giving meaning and purpose to their lives.
For real. It's so true.
You know what I'm saying?
I think a lot of people don't think about it in that context.
I think about it
because you're passing a torch.
You are. And I just wish that in my heart, like especially a lot of these young men from the African Caribbean community, you know, understood that and reflected upon that. Because we will see that there is so much love and power amongst us that coming together as one and not fighting each other, we're so much more powerful. And obviously those who fight each other are not the majority, they're actually the minority. You know, contrary to what people want to believe.
What the newspapers
or
want
what
to
the
tell
newspapers want to tell you. It's the smallest minority. But I just feel like having that understanding of where you're coming from to understand where you're going, it will present what it will present is an emotional, how do you say, like an emotional connection.
I think it grounds you.
And grounding and understanding to go, well, actually, we've got so much in common. Let's work together and let's make our ancestors and ourselves proud.
I think that's one of the tragic things that you see when young men in particular get into it with each other. I mean, grown men seem to be getting into it with each other these days. But I just, when people, for whatever reason, get to a point where violence is a consequence of that interaction, this failed interaction, you think, but for, you know, going to a class together when you were kids, we could have been boys.
100.
And now we're enemies over a misunderstanding, over a slight, over a perception of disrespect.
Yeah.
We're not able to give each other at least a little bit of kindness to think maybe this isn't the worst thing they could have done.
100.
Maybe they made a mistake. Maybe they just didn't mean to. Maybe they're rude, and let them live their life. It doesn't have to get to violence, but there is a disconnect between people not being able to see that we could have been boys for but an accident of postcode, being born in a different place, going to a different school, playing for a different football team, supporting a different football team. It's actually crazy. I mean, the knife crimes are big in the news at the moment. I think what you said is really, if they had that grounding and realised, you know, we're coming from a long line of people who have suffered and sacrificed to give us the privilege of being in a beautiful place.
100%.
Opportunities everywhere.
Obviously, I originally come from Shepherd Bush. You know, you come from these ends. Do you know what I'm saying? These ends, back in the day.
At one point, you couldn't go.
It was a war zone, bro.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I'm saying? And imagine what you've become and what you've done with your life. And that you, as a kid, you were fine with saying, do you know what, I'm a singer. Do you know what I mean? I dance, I sing, and that, I guess, people perceive that as having, you know, of being sensitive. Like, that's sensitivity and emotional. And that's fine. And I'm good with that. In an area that's like a war zone, and being so comfortable with that and being comfortable in yourself.
Yeah.
You know,
I just always wanted to do positive stuff. Like, I feel like it takes a lot more energy to get into negative and be wrapped up in drama. I think that's a lot more draining.
100.
Whereas when I'm doing positive things, like with my music, like writing songs, performing, harmonizing, that uplifts me. That actually gives me energy. And I think I realized that quite early on, because I never wanted to sing. But when I started doing it with the boys, Adam, Mishak, Bradley, that really lifted me up, and it gave me excitement to go into school and to go to classes and to stay after school doing all the harmonizing in the staircases. Like, I loved that. And I do wish I could have. I mean, we did have some friends who found that same kind of joy through music, like Shaka, for example, Cleo.
Yeah.
They all found the same thing in the same area. They turned to music. And I think there's got to be more. I think with all the government cuts and stuff, you don't have classes like that anymore.
No, you don't. Yeah.
We need more of that, for sure.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, I agree. And that is something that the government could do, is actually provide more kind of, I guess, youth clubs and platforms for young talent to be able to thrive.
Maybe it's something we got to do.
Bro, literally.
But I mean, speaking about that kind of commitments outside of music, you are obviously a representative of the young carers. Could you talk a little bit more about what you're doing there?
Yeah, so last year I was invited to perform at St. James Palace in front of members of the royal family and Commonwealth ministers at the Commonwealth Youth Awards. And they had announced me as the Commonwealth Young Carers Ambassador. For many years now, I've been campaigning, championing, bringing awareness to young carers and raising the voice of young carers. Obviously, as a young carer myself, from 12 years old, my brother Temi and my little sister Naomi, all very young carers. We had experience administering medication as if we were medical professionals, taking injections, all types of medication, and the responsibility landing on us to look after our house. I didn't know I was a young carer, to be honest. For, you know, being part of the African Caribbean community, it was just something that you're expected to do.
You're supposed to take care of your elders.
You take care of your elders. That's a standard thing. So I never looked at it like it was anything special. It was just what we, you know, in our culture, we're expected to do. So it was a standard, normal thing to me. But after becoming a musician and being in the public eye, there were so many people that had really related and felt my story and felt close to what I was like, felt close to my family story with my mum having multiple sclerosis and us caring for our mum, that through being in the public eye, I was identified as a young carer. And I didn't realize how much support and how many kids around the country were young carers until I started to talk about it, my experiences. So then I realized that there was actually something really positive that I could do here, and actually going through more research and investing time in trying to understand what support there could be out there for kids that were in my position, I started to grow more and more passionate about doing all that I could to make a difference in this area. In 2014, Britain's Youngest Carers, a documentary or a factual film that I instigated, I put together, that got signed off and commissioned by Channel 4, aired. And during that documentary, I met a professor called Professor Saul Becker, who's one of the world's leading experts in social sciences and the area of young carers. And through his research, I learned a lot about how many young carers there are in the UK and the fact that we need to do something to make a difference to their lives. And so I've just been doing all I can to raise a voice for young carers since. Obviously, after being here with you, I'm going to Channel 5 to go on the news and talk about young carers. I was the other day on ITV talking about young carers. And also I'm very close to My Time Young Carers organisation that's headed by Krista Sharp and Carers Trust, as well as Carers Worldwide. And last year, becoming the Commonwealth Young Carers Ambassador officially, it was great because it's allowing me to have a platform whereby I can really do a lot more in that role than if it wasn't there.
Yeah, fair. Because you've got a larger stage, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think also because of, obviously you retired the band, it gave you, I guess, a gap where you could do a lot more in that space. Yeah.
When the band had, I don't want to say come to an end because you make people cry. When we decided that, we had achieved all that we needed to achieve in the group, and that actually now it was time to explore different things. One of the things that I wanted to keep going with was doing all I could to get as much support for young carers as possible. Obviously, I've had different career things that I've dived into, but the philanthropic side is very important to me. It brings purpose. I feel like if you have a platform, you should use it, and it shouldn't all be about me, myself, and I. I feel like you should use it for others. And so it's my lifelong mission, it's my lifelong passion that I'm going to do all that I can. By the time I'm no longer around, I just want people to be able to say, you know what, Oritsé Williams made a difference and really cared about those people or those young people that the world had forgotten about.
Yeah, I hear that.
Do you understand?
I do. That's just a beautiful thing. So I think we should all try and help where we can.
Yeah.
It's like touching the parts of the garden you can reach. That's
Love
important.
that analogy, yeah.
So you did mention your own pursuits. What are you doing outside of, obviously, your caring responsibilities? You still making music?
Yeah, man.
What's going on?
Yeah. I'm still making music. So when the band came to an end, I signed a deal with Jive Records. Not a lot of people know. A solo deal. I was actually poached by Good Music as well, Kanye's label, before he went into fashion. And I had my first record, which featured Pusha T, called Waterline. And I rolled that record out, which was a nice kind of start to my musical journey. Then I kind of took a step back because I just wanted to stay in the studio and really find my sound and find my feet. So for years now, I've just been writing and recording in the studio. Every time people on my IG, all they do is see me in the studio. You know what I'm saying? I'm always there because I love it. And I just really wanted to craft my sound definitively. Mm-hmm. I don't want to just release any old songs for the sake of releasing. When I do something, I always want to do it properly. And so now I'm at this place where I'm so excited because, to be quite honest, me finding my sound has been me going back to my roots. My sound is an amalgamation of my African, Caribbean roots, but also with that West London swagger. So for me, it's been very easy, actually. I had experimented with different things, and then I was like, Oritsé Williams needs to be Oritsé Williams. Mm-hmm. I don't need to try and do what anyone else is doing. I just need to be me. And that has been so freeing and so liberating for me.
Of course, yeah. And
so I've just been in the studio writing songs. Last year, I put out a record called Showdown, which got played on One Extra, went top 5 in the black music charts officially. And it was celebrated, by a lot of my fans. And it was nice also to touch base with people like Bushkin from Heartless Crew, who told me to roll up to One Extra to his show after hearing my song and saying, look, bro, we need to spin this record on radio. It's dope.
Nice.
And that's been really dope. And then since then, I kind of got back in the studio, started making more records. And I'm really, really super excited because the next records that I got coming, man, they feel real good.
Okay.
They feel
real good. You got an album coming as well?
Bro, I've got enough records for 10 albums if I wanted to. But fair. I know that maybe an EP might be just, give people whet the appetite a little, mm-hmm. and then build on that. One of the records that I got actually is with Stefan Wade. He features on it. Stefan is one of the actors in the new Bob Marley One Love movie, and he's an all-around incredible talent. I've worked with some incredible writers and producers as well on my record so far. I've worked with new talent as well. I worked with people like C Beats, Hypertone, James Essien, Tanisha Jackson, Lewis Gardner, Sion. Literally, the list goes on and on. Garfield, I think I said C Beats. Like,
there's so much talent.
Yeah, there's so much talent out there in the UK right now. It's crazy. Like, it's such an exciting time. And you don't only have to work with big names. It's dope working with like new, fresh talent too.
Mm-hmm. It feels like I feel like bands had their time anyway. There aren't really any bands anymore. Yeah. It seems like solo artists does seem to be, maybe it's time for that.
Yeah.
It seems like.
I mean, time is everything, right? Like, I mean, there are like bands, we've had like Flow, No Guidance. So there are a few out there, but I feel like people just want to see themselves in the artist right now. Mm. And what's been great about my music journey so far in this new solo space is, one, I've been just taking my time with it. And two, I've been getting real responses because I've got no major label. Mm-hmm. It's independent releases. So I'm self-releasing, which is a new experience for me, but actually there's a lot of beauty in it as well. Yeah. Because you can really see the real responses without there being a big machine pushing it. There's no filter. Yeah. Like, do you know what I mean? So people are circling back and going, yo, Oritsé, like, I really feel your music. Fair. Like, and I love that. Like, that makes me feel really good.
And it's not a band, it's you.
100%. And it's just it's defining myself as an individual creatively and musically, because I love what I do with a group. But it is a melting pot of all of our influences and experiences. Whereas me doing my own record, it literally is, this is who I am.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
I like it. In some ways you get to reintroduce yourself.
100.
Because I feel like you've been on quite an evolution in the different phases of the band.
Yeah.
And then as you've all come back together, seeing you all grow up so much.
Yeah, yeah.
Back on stage, I think everyone's bringing even more to it.
Yeah, yeah.
In a lot of ways, you're not the same band when you come back.
Totally.
And I think your audience has grown up with you as well, so they appreciate that you're now able to be not more authentic, but you're not trying to fit into a specific mold.
Yeah, yeah.
Anymore, because you've kind of got the freedom.
100, and I love that. Like, you know, people see me and they're like, "Yo, you look like the guy that was in the group," but I can't tell. But you got dreadlocks, and do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And all sorts, and it's freeing. You know, I just feel like I love the early years of the group because I was learning as well. Like, there's a lot of learning, but I think as time goes on and you build confidence, you actually just become comfortable with completely being yourself, unfiltered. And you know, it was also great, even like when we linked up at Notting Hill Carnival. Like, I've been so used to being in a band with people knowing my songs before I get to the stage.
Yeah.
But now with this solo journey, I had this incredible experience of pulling up to Notting Hill Carnival. My sister, who's an incredible DJ Versatile, she was DJing on that stage, which was incredible. And it was the main stage at Carnival, right next to the Tabernacle. And I got invited to perform my new single. Now, I'm performing a brand new single to people that have never heard my song before.
No.
And not seen me solo before.
Probably weren't even expecting you to be there.
Probably weren't even expecting me to be there. And they weren't. Like, Notting Hill Carnival, Oritsé Williams. Yeah. Come on. Like, this is like, for them, they don't realize that I'm rooted in this. They just see me on a commercial level.
Yeah.
But it was so comfortable for me. And it was incredible because I pulled up to Notting Hill. Obviously, we linked up as well. And I went on the stage and dropped my new single, Showdown. It was my new single when I dropped it. And to see an organic reaction from the audience where they were just going wild over my record.
Yeah, they went crazy.
To the point, literally, to the point where it was, the DJ pulled it up like versatile. Many, like 4 or 5 times, kept on pulling up. I was like, what? Do you know what I mean? This is like actually crazy. People jumped on stage, started whining, dancing, lost control. I'm like, yo.
More or less.
Yeah, more or less. like I'm getting real time, you know, reaction of how my music makes people feel. Mm. And for me, that was so satisfying and gratifying. Is that a word? Or maybe not? I don't know.
Gratifying? Yeah. I feel like that is a word.
Maybe.
If it's not, it should be.
It should be, yeah. Okay. But I felt so, like, I was amazed. Because, again, as I said, it's an amazing feeling having thousands of people sing your song. But they already knew your song because it was rotating on radio before they got to the
that's almost
show.
Like a cheat code.
Totally. But to go raw, organic, nobody's heard it, drop the record, and it was just getting pull up. Like, it was, bro. Yeah. That experience was crazy, right? That was crazy.
Even after everything you've done.
After everything, it was crazy. Like, and I actually got footage because, you know, I was playing the record when we were at Tabernacle as well. Yeah. And we were all dancing and everything else. And that was a crazy experience as well. In fact, I need to upload that on IG. But it was just so, like, it's crazy. Like, I'm testing my music out with the people in real time. That's it. And they're responding to it. They're reacting to it. They're going crazy over it. Like, yeah, man, that was amazing. And then performing in my hometown in West London at Notting Hill, like, you know, I grew up in Carnival, grew up in the culture, and being accepted and embraced was crazy. And my sister being on stage DJing.
It's beautiful.
It was all like, honestly, that was one of the best experiences of my entire life. And people would be like, what? You performed at the O2 Arena. You performed at all these crazy places. Yes, I did. But being at home with my people and celebrating my music and culture, bro, there's no better feeling.
Yeah, fair. Speaking of better feelings, before we wrap up, I just wanted to ask, like, what's it being able to fulfill those promises to your mum, how did she receive seeing all those blessings come to you?
Man, mum's like, she's so proud and she's always so excited for me. And she always says, I have the best children in the world. Because my little brother Temi, my baby sister Naomi, and myself, we're all really out there doing our thing. And it just feels so good. Like, it really does, that it's made her so proud and so happy. Obviously, what I have to live with daily, which I find tough, is that I haven't been able to take my mum's illness away, which for me would be, I'd give everything. I'd give my life for that. Like, to see my, my career, everything, I would give it all up to see my mum, well. But considering, with all things considering, what it has done is it's made her overjoyed. And I think love and happiness is healing in itself.
Facts. So
I'm grateful for that. And my mum continues to be an incredible inspiration to me. And she says, my son Oritsé, you just once you set your mind to something, I always believe that you're going to be able to achieve it. And so, yes, we live in a world where no matter what you achieve, there's always going to be non-believers, always going to be naysayers, always going to be negative people. And I've experienced them all, and I still experience them. Like, do you know what I'm saying? But when you have someone that believes in you so strongly, that overwhelms all of that. So, yeah, my mum's prayers, and my wife's prayers, and my family's prayers are all the blessings that I need. That's all the strength that I need to keep believing in myself and doing what I truly believe that I'm here to do. I'm not just going to listen and submit to people that say you can't do something. I've been there before.
Yeah.
I've experienced it. So, yeah.
You proved otherwise.
Okay, so let's do it again.
That's a nice note to end on.
Yeah, for real.
Thanks so much for joining. I really appreciate you coming. I've wanted to get you on for a while, but I felt like as the first episode of season 2, it kind of made sense to start with something that, I guess, a full circle moment.
Oh man, I'm grateful.
Could you just tell people who may not be familiar with your channels how they can find and keep up with what you're doing?
Yes. So, Oritsé Williams. My name, you spell it Oritse. So on TikTok, I'm at Oritsé Williams. I'm on TikTok now. On IG, I'm at Oritsé Music. Hit me up, give me a follow my journey, and I appreciate the support.
Thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed that episode. If you have any comments or questions, please put them in the relevant section. Otherwise, I will see you in another episode.